I don't know. It looks like we're going to have more of a problem than we thought we would. We have a lot go out on opinion and a lot on death penalty. I believe today we went through 24 jurors, or 23, and had only 6 that qualified. They struck 4 and we struck 2, so we have none as of today. The magic number is 44. We got to qualify 44 and you get a jury. So you multiply 6, that'd be about 7 days to get a jury at the rate we're going.
We will form committees who will volunteer their efforts in conjunction with the Texas Employment Commission, and we will work out of the Texas Employment Commission office. We will solicit various industries for job orders to be filled, getting their requirements for what the person, qualifications for what the person must have to fill certain jobs.
This is a story about a research physicist. Dr. Nat Godbold, currently working for General Dynamics of Fort Worth, was on the team that developed the first sonar, an echo device used in submarines, first during World War II. He was also on the team that worked on the Manhattan Project, America's entry into the atomic age. His latest accomplishment has been the adaptation of what's known as the Slarian optical system to ultrasonic sound testing devices. What happens essentially is that his device tests the devices that test metal that goes into airplanes. All that's very complicated. And what does it have to do with pizza? Well, stick around. Let's talk to Dr. Godbold, and you'll find out.
We start with a light source, has a small point of light. We have a condensing lens. On the other side, we have another lens that focuses to a spot. This parallel beam of light that comes through here furnishes the light to form the image, and anything that we do in this region to distort the media through which the light passes will form an image that we can see on our screen. For us to be able to adjust this, we find the easiest way is to have a television camera that picks up the image, and then this is shown on the television monitor on the wall. The angle that the sound makes with the beam of light is very critical, because if the sound beam is not exactly perpendicular to the beam of light, well, then you will receive no image. Now, the angle that the sound beam makes with the light is controlled by this little device that's called a mini manipulator. And by changing these knobs, we can alter the angle.
But during the week, Dr. Godbold finds relief from the tedious job of being a research physicist. He comes down to Papa's Pizza Parlor and plays the banjo, real toe-tapping music. It's an avocation he's followed since a child in 1924. I want to know why he's doing all this. Dr. Godbold, why do you play the banjo?
Oh, it's my hobby. It takes the place of golf and fishing and playing cards for me.
Does it relax you?
Oh, yes.
How long have you been doing this?
I took up banjo in 1924 when I was a sophomore in high school.
What did you used to do with it back then?
Oh, I played in dance orchestras in Dallas, and then when I went to the University of Texas, I played in dance bands there.
How old is this instrument you're using?
This instrument was built in 1928.
And you've been using it ever since?
That's correct.
Let's hear something else. There you have it, the best of both possible worlds. Dr. Nat Godbold, research physicist at General Dynamics, part-time banjo player at Papa's Pizza Parlor. This is Jay Lewis, Channel 8 News on the Move, Fort Worth.
As I said, having been interested in the field of vision myself for the past 7 years, and as a young person who understands the struggles of being a student, and as the daughter of a man who's just gotten into the library business himself, I thank all of you, and I especially am appreciative for being here today. Thank you, and I'm going to rush home and take this stocking with my mother.
Which is a discussion of the anti-homosexual prejudice that's reflected in the major classification and subject heading systems that are now used in libraries. You know, this is no small problem, the matter of job discrimination for homosexuals. We are about 15 million persons in this country, 15 million adult persons. And this means that we occur in all professions, including the library profession. And when a professional organization refuses to support its own people in a matter of job discrimination, this is very serious. The major problem that homosexuals all across the country face is fear of losing their jobs. This is the major leverage point that can be brought to bear against the homosexual. And so it's quite crucial to get professional associations to recognize that they have an obligation, a moral responsibility to support job security for those of their members who happen to be homosexual.
What are your plans for the rest of the week?
Well, this afternoon we're having our Hug a Homosexual booth at which we distribute kisses, free kisses to all takers.
I think it's disgusting.
Why?
It makes me not very proud to be a member of ALA.
Why?
Because I cannot see them having television time for something like this when we have prominent authors present, people who can express our views to the public much better than a small segment like this.
Tomorrow afternoon we're having our business meeting at which there will be a short talk on the gay movement titled Gay Liberation to Be All You Can Be, and we will give our first annual Gay Book Award. And in the evening, a talk on sex and the single cataloger, new thoughts on some unthinkable subjects.
What right do I have to object as long as they swing their fist, as long as it or whatever they want to swing, as long as it doesn't hit my nose?
This is a service to both the employee and the employer. It is difficult for the employee who is out of work to know where all of the various industries are. And I'm hoping that industry will take advantage of this program because they too can benefit from the great talents that are unemployed here in Dallas today and the metropolitan area at no cost to their company, and at the same time can re-employ several people, I'm sure, that are out of work and have been out of work for a matter of months.
Jay, I feel that the Fort Worth Chamber of Commerce is on the threshold of entering a period where they're going to have substantial expansion in certain of their program areas. There will possibly even be some restructuring in our volunteer sector as our business community approaches the problems of total community development. And I think these changes are perhaps going to expand the fact that we do not have a typical Chamber of Commerce here in Fort Worth. But in view of all of these possibilities, I feel our Fort Worth Chamber Executive Committee should be free to seek out and to employ the best qualified executive, in their opinion, to lead the organization during this period.
Here is what I support. Number one, raising the pay for beginning policemen and firemen at least to the minimum which the police officer and the fire chief feel is needed. Two, financing these needed pay increases with new monies raised from taxes on liquor by the drink, including the current 1.5% of the 10% state tax which the cities are now receiving, plus an additional 5% which I propose the City of Dallas ask the legislature permission to levy. I would call my proposal Pennies for Protection.
I have a rather unique vantage point at the Dallas North Shopping Center off Central Expressway in Plano. I'm sitting here with Paulette Jones, who's on top of the shopping center. Miss Jones, why are you on this shopping center in a tent?
I'm taking contributions for the Plano Sports Authority. It's an organization designed to provide a year-round schedule of sports activities for boys and girls in Plano.
How much money do you hope to raise with this?
We need a minimum of $2,500. If we can raise more, that's gravy.
How much money have you gotten so far?
$30. For instance, yesterday, business has been a little slow. Yesterday I took in $11, a chocolate mint, and a piece of bubble gum.
Is there anything else crazy you put in your bucket so far?
This morning I got a cold drink and an all-day sucker.
You're in luck. What's the thing you miss most about living up here in a tent all week?
I miss my little girl and my husband.
these people who have been out of work for months have relied upon some of their savings, as in my case it was some savings and the sale of one of my houses, and the savings and the house profit are practically depleted. Therefore, it's difficult to go to a professional employment agency and pay a fee for a salary job such as we were used to. And I'm talking about the people here at this particular meeting today.
How do you expect to be able to find jobs now when the Employment Commission and other agencies have not been able to find jobs for you and these others?
If you had to pick a word to describe all this, I guess that word would just about have to be monotonous. There's the redundant rhetoric of the lawyers trying very hard to pick prospective jurors to hear the case. There are the daily trips back and forth from the jail to the courthouse and back to the jail again for Guzman and Lopez. It's monotonous and it's very tiring. Last night, after 10 hours in the courtroom, I asked Dallas District Attorney Henry Wade when he thought he might get a jury. Dallas County District Attorney Henry Wade last night. And today, except for the names and a few of the faces, the story's the same one again. Jerry Taft, Channel 8 News on the Move, Belton. Unless the law of averages just does not apply in Bell County, Texas, today has got to be a better day than yesterday, at least in terms of qualifying jurors for the murder trial of Rene Guzman and Leonardo Lopez here in Belton. Yesterday, a total of 23 prospective jurors were shuttled through the courtroom. It took an average of almost half an hour each for them to be grilled by attorneys. As a matter of fact, the proceedings began at 9 a.m. and ended at 7:12 p.m. The first time most observers here really thought a prospective juror was on the verge of being selected did not come until 6:33 p.m., and he was excused on a peremptory challenge by attorneys for Leonardo Lopez. By far the largest number of excuses were based on testimony by individuals that they did not believe in capital punishment. Needless to say, the question of the moment is when will a jury be impaneled so this murder trial can begin? After 12 hours in court, or at least it seemed that way, I stopped Dallas County District Attorney Henry Wade and posed the problem to him. I asked a representative of the Bell County District Attorney's office how long it normally takes to qualify a jury in Belton on the death penalty. He said, well, the last one we did, we got in a day and a half. So obviously, this trial is being considered a little unusual, to say the least. Jerry Taft, Channel 8 News on the Move, in Belton. With the continuous grilling of prospective jurors droning on inside the Bell County Courthouse, few observers and none of the participants in there are as willing now as they were on Monday when it all began to prophesy when the trial itself might finally get underway. In spite of the influx of newsmen, lawyers, and police officials from across the state, by and large, the people of Belton seem virtually unaware and almost totally unconcerned with what's going on here at the Bell County Courthouse. Jerry Taft, Channel 8 News on the Move, Belton.
We, the jury, having given to the four found the defendant was the same at the time of the offense charged in the indictment, and having found the defendant guilty of murder with malice as charged in the indictment, assess his punishment as death. Signed Mr. J.R. Thompson, foreman. Gentlemen, you heard me read the verdict here in open court. If that individual is your verdict, would you please raise your right hand? So say ye all. Thank you. Please go back in the jury.
Right, we received an alarm at 10:55 that there was a high-pressure oil line had ruptured. And so we responded, and upon arrival, we found that oil under high pressure was going to the air at about 30 feet. And it was flowing at a high rate of gallons per minute, anywhere in the neighborhood of 500 to 700 gallons per minute, probably.
Was this butane or gas?
This
or
was
what?
Oil, crude oil. And the dozer was still in the area operating when we arrived. Of course, we got him out, and the first thing we did was to evacuate the immediate area. This being a radius about 2 miles. We had everyone to leave, shut off everything in their homes, all the air conditioners, hot water heaters, and what have you.
How many people did this involve?
This I don't really know. This is a sparsely settled area, and so I don't really know how many people this involved. But
what are your plans now? What are you doing?
Probably the one word that describes the kind of program that we have for the deaf child is quality. And I think that if you will go to other programs, you will find that their quality in some aspect of the problem is good and is probably in some cases exceptional, but that they do not have all of this broad concept which has been brought to bear on the deaf child.
Well, basically, we are second in costs at this time. Performance, of course, we think we're way out in front.
Have you figured, or have you pitched the regional airport on the difference in dollars being worth possibly the money staying in the Dallas-Fort Worth area?
Yes, we have. As a matter of fact, we were talking to the Dallas-Fort Worth group yesterday. Not only staying in the Fort Worth area, but the fact that we feel that the system is more cost-effective.
I understand you have 5 proposals to the airport board. What is the price range?
From around $19,900 to $28,900.
We're talking about millions of dollars?
Millions of dollars, yes, sir.
How long would it take Vaught Aeronautics to put this system on the ground and working?
Well, we would have the complete system installed at the airport by the summer of '73.
But last year we, for the first time, took an ice-strengthened vessel into the Arctic waters where we had no icebreaker support, and we managed to shoot about 3,000 miles of seismic data with a vessel. It was just strengthened for ice, and it wasn't an icebreaker per se. But this year, we felt that our operations were so successful last year that this year we plan to put 2 vessels up there, and we certainly have a program of approximately 6,000 miles to shoot this year.
This will be up into the ice country.
Yes, this will be in the ice country, and our vessel is capable of breaking ice up to 3 feet thick. Each vessel will have a helicopter on board which will fly ahead to establish what the ice conditions are so that we don't get ourselves into serious trouble in thick-packed ice. Can get up to very strong proportions, and last year the vessel, this would be in an area just south of Melville Island, did encounter some very, very high winds, certainly gale force winds. But what we did, we set the vessel into pack ice and just rode the storm out, and it was quite comfortable sitting in the pack ice.
This is Aware 71, where high school girls from all over the country are learning to cope with problems that will face them in later life. It's sponsored by the Campfire Girls, the Horizon Club's division, and it's hosted by North Texas State University. Here, the girls learn to face situations ranging from school problems and interpersonal relations, all the way to drugs and women's liberation, and more, learning how to relate their own lives to these problems. It's an audio-visual experience, with each girl going around to various small screening booths and facing problems and anticipating how she would react in those problems. I asked the Horizon Club's Director of Program Development, Mrs. Gwen Harper, to explain why the concept of this situation.
We hope that high school girls at this conference and at the conferences that they'll have when they get home will have a little practice in making up their own decisions, determining their own alternatives to choices around the problems that face them today and that will face them all the rest of their lives.
So far, the girls know they're impressed with the program, but not many of them are able to say why exactly.
I think that here we're getting our principles tested, whether or not you have a good set of principles, and it's a real good test for you, I think.
But is it going to help you in solving the problems that are going to face you?
Yes, I think so. Since I've come here, I've learned how to communicate with people that I couldn't do before, and today I've learned how to cope with some of the problems that I couldn't understand before. I've learned more about them.
Aware 71 is one of 3 such seminars held across the country this year. When the girls leave here on Saturday and Sunday, they may not know how to solve problems that will be facing them in their future, but they'll at least know that these problems exist. Jay Lewis, Channel 8 News on the Move, North Texas State University.
The temple area is the first thing we've seen, which includes that area where Jesus came as a child and where he chased the money changers from the temple. The next was the temple proper, and then behind me, the Wailing Wall, the west wall of the temple, that temple which Solomon built, which was destroyed in so many ways, but which those of the Jewish faith believe has had this wall left for the future. And as I stand here before the famous landmark, the Tower of David, representing the Old Jerusalem, before me lies King David Hotel, which is the representation of the New Jerusalem, and I stand on that spot which almost was the exact dividing line between the Old Jerusalem and the New Jerusalem during the Six-Day War recently. This is Bob Gooding for Channel 8 News on the Move.